Now available as paperback and e-reader from the author of Spinsterella, A Strange and Unusual Romance, and Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black comes from legendary Magazine. And you get the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. 8 years ago, I wrote a blog telling street-lit authors that the publishing industry is not the music business. And it seems like I'm going to have to tell these dysfunctional Afro-American Negroes who write this street-lit one more again that the publishing industry for books is not the same as the music business. And the marketing approaches that people use to sell these rap records does not work in the trade publishing industry. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we had this author, Kane, or Erica Kane, decide she wanted to publish a book called Captain Save-A-Ho. And then on Halloween, you had rapper E40 decide he was going to file a lawsuit saying that the copyright for his song, Captain Save-A-Ho, was infringed by Kane publishing this book. Now, I take a more critical look at this whole case regarding this whole Captain Save-A-Ho book, and it looks more like a marketing stunt than an actual lawsuit for copyright infringement, because any author or anyone who works in the trade publishing industry knows that you cannot copyright a title. You can copyright a song or you can copyright a book, but you cannot copyright a title. This is something anyone who has studied trade publishing knows, but when I look at this lawsuit, it clearly shows me that this is just a marketing stunt designed to generate controversy for this Captain Save-A-Ho book and generate sales. It's the kind of tactic that a hip-hop producer would use to try to sell records. However, this tactic just doesn't work in trade publishing. And the reason why it does not work in trade publishing is because books are not sold through controversy, and it's not sold through controversy where people are going back and forth with each other. No, when it comes down to books, books are sold primarily by what you put on the page. If what's on the page is compelling, that's going to get readers to buy more books. And what really sells books primarily is word of mouth. Books are sold by people telling other people about the book, and then they go out to find out what's in the book, and they go out and buy it and try it themselves, and then they share it with friends and family. That is primarily how books are sold all over the world. Books have been sold like this for the last, 80 years, and that has not changed. And these tactics that these street-lit authors are trying to use are just the same as what these guys do in the rap game. In the rap game, what these guys try to do is they try to generate controversy by pulling these marketing stunts, by doing things like going into back and forths and doing things like having beefs. Unfortunately, book buyers frown on that kind of stuff. They don't want to see it, and they don't want this to be a part of their shopping experience. Because I remember 8 years ago when the street-lit authors were trying to start that up in the publishing game, and it quickly fell apart. And the reason why, again, it fell apart is because book buyers don't want to have this stuff as a part of their shopping experience. I remember when authors were going back and forth with their publishers, like Carl Weber back in the day, over royalties, and they were making all sorts of call-outs and threats and making all sorts of disses and stuff. And again, the readers frowned on that stuff, and it led to people walking away from the street-lit genre. Now we see another street-lit author at it again, looking to try to start the same kind of controversy. And what really makes me see that this is nothing more than a marketing stunt was seeing the types of books that were available for this Captain Save-A-Ho on Amazon.com. She has a Kindle up, she has an audio book up, and she has a CD up, which really shows me how out of touch this female is in terms of understanding the publishing industry. I did not see a paperback up there, and that showed me that this was more of a stunt to sell the whole idea of marketing it from a music industry perspective, but not from a publishing industry perspective, especially the whole audio CD. I mean, nobody buys CDs anymore, but people in the music business think you need to have a CD available for a book product. This is a music industry person who is trying to use a music industry approach to selling books. Unfortunately, that's just not how books are sold. When it comes down to self-published books, it becomes a really tough road. This is something this female didn't understand about the whole business of publishing. Self-publishing is a tough road. It's a really tough road, and you're going to take a lot of losses before you get a lot of gains. She's thinking that she can generate this controversy, and what's going to happen is people are going to go and try this book. No, that's not going to happen at all, because when it comes down to books, again, books are sold through word of mouth. They are not sold through marketing gimmicks. People think they can sell books like this, but usually people these days will just look inside and then just move on, because when it comes down to book buyers go again by what's on the page, not by any sort of hype or controversy. Books are not sold through hype. They're not sold through controversy. They're not sold through beefs. They're not sold through any of that. That may sell a record, but that's not going to sell a book. And street lit authors need to really understand this is not the music business. You need to learn the marketing strategies for selling books. You need to learn the strategies for promoting books, and you need to learn how to design covers that are appealing for books. What works in the record business does not work in the publishing industry. And when it comes down to the publishing industry, you have to learn how to fail before you succeed, because 90% of all books fail in the publishing industry. And when it comes down to books, books have a big risk, because 90% of all books fail. And they fail even if they're great books, because people just don't have that much time in their lives, and reading books is an investment of time. So you have to show people why they should invest their time in reading your book. And when people see you participating in marketing stunts to get their attention, they don't see your book as something substantive or something that they should care about. And this is something many street lit authors don't understand. What is entertaining on the street is not substantive to a reading audience. A reading audience doesn't need to get something they already know about. They're going to read about something they want to learn about. So this is another thing your street lit authors don't understand about publishing. They come in here, they're thinking they're telling their tales of the streets to people, and they're going to use these music business type stunts to get their attention, but all they do is alienate customers, because customers don't want to hear stuff that they've already heard on the 6 o'clock news or seen out of their window. No, they go to books for information that they can't get anywhere else. And when it comes down to black audiences, it's like this. Many of these Negroes that they're trying to target with these types of controversy, many of these Negroes just don't read. So this type of stunt will get their attention and maybe get them to look at a website like an XXL or one of these hip-hop websites. But these people don't read. So trying to target them with this type of stunt is a complete and utter failure, just like it was 8 years ago when street lit authors tried this, and it wound up blowing up in their faces, because the whole thing is people who are into hip-hop and music, they will look at this type of stunt and see the attention that it's going to get, but they're not going to go out here and buy books. The people who buy books, they buy books because they like reading stories and they want to learn things, But the people who want to be entertained, they don't read books for entertainment. And when it comes down to the Afro-American Negro, this is an anti-intellectual, and in most cases, they don't read. So trying to sell them a book through a music business style controversy, that's going to backfire just like it did 8 years ago. And the whole thing is that the book buying scene, again, is completely different than that of the music business. When it comes down to the book buyers do not want to enter a bookstore like a Barnes and Noble or even a vendor table and have to deal with the dysfunction of these Negroes out here talking about getting into beefs, going into back and forths, presenting disses in books, and creating all sorts of drama because they go to a bookstore to relax. They go to a bookstore to decompress. They go to a bookstore to escape. And a bookstore is a place where people want to have serenity, they want to relax, and they don't want to deal with the nonsense from ghetto people who want to bring their ghetto lives and their ratchet drama into their space for serenity. People don't want to deal with this, and they frown upon these kinds of approaches that authors like this Icane are pushing in this drama she has with E40. And this is why this whole lawsuit and all the controversy have gained no traction, because in trade publishing, people sell, again, I'm going to say it one more again, people sell books differently, people market books differently, the environment is completely different, and the people who buy books are a completely different clientele than those people who are part of this music business. The people in the music business, usually, yes, they sell music, but again, they don't sell music in the same way they would at a rap concert at a bookstore, because a bookstore crowd is a completely different crowd, and they frown on things like people coming to them with big controversies, big drama, because people who go to the bookstore, again, they want to relax, they want to escape, they want serenity in their environments, and they don't want to have to deal with people having these types of books where they have to deal with this controversy, people coming into stores looking to bicker and argue, people looking to have beefs. That's not that kind of environment. So you trying to sell them this kind of book is not going to sell to them, because that's not the type of experience they want. Street lit authors need to understand that the publishing industry is not the music business, and the approaches of the music business aren't going to work when you're trying to sell a book to book customers. Book customers want a completely different shopping experience, and they don't want to have to deal with all this ratchet ghetto drama that many of these street lit authors want to try to promote in trying to get sales, and they don't want to deal with any of this nonsense where your guys are going back and forth, having beefs, having arguments, and trying to generate controversy. Because, again, when books are sold, they are sold primarily through word of mouth, and it's sold in a very private and discreet manner. Yes, there are ads for books, and I even make ads for books, but again, the whole approach is that the customer has to see what's great on the page before they go out here and try anything. If you'd like to try some of my titles on the SJS Direct imprint, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.